On Gravitas tonight, our top story focuses on a key question. Is Donald Trump ready to ditch Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as NATO officially takes over the coordination of military aid to Ukraine from the US and the alliance steps in to play a more direct role in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict? In fact, this shift begs the immediate question, is this a sign of America actually distancing itself from Ukraine? What lies ahead? NATO's involvement signals a growing reliance on the collective strength of member countries. But will that be enough? Trump has long been a critic of the massive US military aid flowing into Ukraine. He called it excessive and vowed to end the war swiftly. On Monday, Trump said that he might still be able to make a deal between Russia and Ukraine before he takes office next month. Listen in.
We'll be talking to President Putin, and we'll be talking to the representatives, Zelensky and representatives from Ukraine. We got to stop it. It's carnage.
As you just heard, Trump once again said that a ceasefire needs to be carried out in the Russia-Ukraine war. Whether that happens before or after him taking power remains to be seen. On the surface, NATO's takeover of military aid coordination might seem like a strategic pivot. But if the war does not end, can NATO take on the burden really? Because after all, America is the largest contributor within NATO, providing the majority of Ukraine's arms and support. In fact, the US contributes about 1/6 of NATO's annual budget. Washington finances 15.8% of the military alliance's yearly expenditure of around $3.5 billion. And these developments come at a time when the leaders of all of NATO's major members, like the UK, Germany, France, Spain, and its biggest defense spenders, are currently facing an uncertain future, sparking concerns about the future of European politics. So, without the US and its major players, the question that arises is, can NATO function as a cohesive alliance, let alone support Ukraine? And Trump's stance on NATO's contribution has been clear for years, in fact. During his first term, he threatened to withdraw from the alliance altogether, pushing NATO countries to commit 3% of their GDP to defense, far beyond the 2% target NATO had set. He's been clear about this. And if Trump follows through on his moves to limit US aid, can NATO realistically hold fort? Or will this simply be a futile gesture with little real impact on Ukraine's military efforts? Experts have long warned that Trump's presidency presents an uncertain future for Ukraine. If the US were to withdraw support, Ukraine would basically be left exposed without any major military assistance, leaving it vulnerable to Russia's continued territorial expansion. So when Trump returns to power, will Zelensky and Ukraine be left to fend for themselves in a war that it cannot win alone? Or will Zelensky look for a deal that is tilted heavily in favor of Russia because Ukraine's situation grows more dire by the day? As Russian forces gain ground, while morale within Ukraine's military continues to plummet, according to Russia's defense minister, Moscow is gaining around 30 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory a day, claiming further that Ukraine controls just around 25 to 30% of the Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops are struggling to replace fallen soldiers, and new recruits are reportedly scarce. As of last month, Ukraine's military had lost around 57,000 soldiers, half of Russia's casualties, but still an alarming number for a much smaller country. Moreover, as Russian troops make steady advances, Ukraine faces the possibility of losing even more territory in the coming days and weeks. Russia is reportedly just 10 kilometers south of Kurakhov and just 3 kilometers from the outskirts of Pokrovsk. Both these cities are key to Ukraine's defenses in the east, and their fall will open doors for Russia to advance westwards towards central Ukraine. So with Trump's uncertain position as far as military aid is concerned, can Zelensky get Ukraine to regroup in time in order to reverse the losses? Or are they actually fighting a battle they simply cannot win? In recent weeks, the Biden administration committed a $988 million deal to Kiev in security assistance. But will that be enough remains the big question. Ukraine remains on the edge. Despite additional U.S. aid, Pentagon and intelligence officials have reportedly made it clear that regaining lost territory from Russia will be an uphill battle and highly unlikely. As the conflict drags on, the uncertainty surrounding Trump's stance adds yet another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Perhaps one of the most significant unknowns is what security guarantees, if any, Ukraine can really expect from the US and NATO. As Ukraine faces growing pressure on the battlefield, with territory slipping away and resources dwindling, the question lingers on: can NATO provide Ukraine with the military and monetary guarantees it needs to survive in this conflict? Or without Trump, Zelensky is left with ever-decreasing bargaining chips? In the days ahead, one thing is certain: Ukraine's survival may depend on more than just military aid. It may just depend on a new kind of diplomacy. The stakes are high, and with Trump's presidency on the horizon, the future of Ukraine looks more uncertain than ever. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.